The internet wasn't ready for what leaked last night, because this time, it wasn't a rumor, a misquoted tweet, or a shady Instagram story. It was audio, real, raw, and straight from Mendeecees' own mouth. The kind of recording you pray never gets out. And it did. In less than 5 minutes, the voice memo swept across every timeline like wildfire. Mendeecees was caught mid-conversation, saying things that left even his most loyal defenders speechless. Secrets that weren't supposed to see the light of day, and the worst part? He had no idea he was being recorded. Fans are stunned, cast members are panicking. And Yandy? She was blindsided. Word is she heard it for the first time just like the rest of us, on the blogs. In the clip, her name is mentioned, her loyalty questioned, and something about a woman from the past. What happened next sent shockwaves through the love and hip-hop world. Reports say Yandy broke down the moment she heard it. On set, in front of cameras, no time to hide. Emotions ran high, and now the entire cast is scrambling as the truth threatens to tear apart everything. This isn't just a leak, it's a betrayal. And what Yandy does next will change everything. It started like every viral firestorm does, small, unverified, and buried in the middle of a messy blog post. Just a few lines of text, no context, no headline that made sense, just a caption that read, "We got the audio, y'all not ready for this one." Then, a play button. At first it didn't even sound like Mendeecees. The audio was grainy, and his voice was low, almost whispering, but within seconds, it became clear. Too clear. The voice was his, the words were his, and the damage? Immediate. Nah, I mean, Yandy strong, yeah, but she don't need to know everything I did before we got solid again. It'd mess up everything. I ain't trying to lose that stability. Just 15 seconds in, and the comment sections had already turned into battlefields. Fans were dissecting every syllable. Did he cheat? Was it recent? Who was he talking to? And the worst question of all, was he hiding something from Yandy right now? The blogs ran wild. Some said it was an old clip from years back. Others claimed it was a fresh recording, sent in by someone who was tired of being the secret. Whatever the truth was, the reaction didn't wait. By the time Yandy saw it, it had already hit 3 million views. She was on set when it happened, filming a simple confessional segment about motherhood. Lights were set, mic was on. The energy was calm, until her phone buzzed. One message, no text, just the clip. At first, she thought it was a prank, but as soon as she heard that familiar voice, she froze. Her eyes dropped, her breath caught. The crew noticed instantly. One of the producers tried to pause the shoot, but it was too late. Her hands were already shaking. And then, slowly she looked up and asked, "Can we stop?" She walked off set. No words, no explanation. Within 10 minutes, the clip had made its way through the entire cast group chat. Reactions started pouring in. Juju texted, "Call me now." Kimbella sent a voice note saying, "You good, sis?" Erica, ever messy, dropped a popcorn emoji and stayed silent. But the one message Yandy didn't get, anything from Mendeecees. He didn't text. He didn't call. He didn't even like the original post. For hours, she sat in her trailer. Blinds closed, lights off, phone screen glowing with unread messages and social media chaos. But all she could hear was that voice, that sentence, that tone. Not angry, not remorseful, just casual. Like, it didn't mean anything. She don't need to know everything. Those words dug deep. Not because they were loud, but because they were quiet. Quiet in the way only someone close to you can be when they choose not to tell you the truth. And that silence, it was louder than anything he could have screamed. Outside, the producers debated whether to keep filming. The director wanted to wait. The execs wanted a reaction. Someone even pitched the idea of setting up a live table read of the message with other cast members, but no one could reach Yandy. She wasn't answering. Then, around 7:30 p.m., she emerged. No makeup, no earrings, hoodie up. She walked straight to the main studio, sat down on the edge of the stage, and asked for the mic to be turned on. "Y'all want a reaction?" she said, voice low. "Fine, I'll give you one." Crew members froze. Cameras rolled. "I gave that man everything," she began. "I raised his kids. I stood by him through a bid. I defended him when people told me to run. And now I gotta find out how he really feels from a damn voice memo?" She paused. Breathed in. "You know what's crazy? I knew. Not this exactly, not the words, but the feeling. The way he changed, how he looked at me, how he dodged certain convos, how he always said, "You're strong, you can handle anything." Like that was some kind of compliment. Nah, that was permission. It's permission to keep lying. Her voice cracked, and I'm tired of being strong. I'm tired of being the one who holds it down while getting broken piece by piece. She stood up. So yeah, play the clip, run the views, do what y'all do. Just know, this time I'm not staying silent. She walked off. Again. But this time her phone didn't stay quiet. It rang. It was Mendeecees. She stared at the screen. Let it ring. Then let it stop. Outside the trailer, Juju finally showed up. Walked straight in, no questions. "You heard it?" she asked. Yandy nodded. "You okay?" "Not even close." Juju sat beside her. "What do you want to do?" "I want to breathe." And that's how part 1 ended. Not with an answer, but with a woman gasping for air in a room that suddenly felt too small. The next day began with silence. But it didn't stay that way for long. By 8 a.m., the blogs were flooding with reaction videos, celebrity commentary, and fan threads dissecting every syllable of Mendeecees' leaked voice note. The words he spoke the day before were now etched into headlines, merch t-shirts, and even fan-made remixes. But the one voice missing from all the noise? Mendeecees himself. Not a tweet. Not a live. Not even a repost. And for a man always quick to defend himself, the quiet was deafening. Most assumed he was hiding. A few believed he was preparing a response. But Yandy, she knew him better than anyone, and his silence told her everything. By noon, producers arranged a private sit-down. Not for TV? Yet. Just to get the facts straight, to prepare for whatever storm came next. They requested Yandy. She agreed. On one condition: no stage setup, no forced dialogue, and no cameras unless she approved the footage herself. They accepted. Barely. When she arrived, she was composed but hollow-eyed. Her voice was low but firm, and her message was clear. "I'm not doing this for damage control. I'm doing this because I need to speak before someone else speaks for me." As she sat in the empty studio chair, the director asked if she wanted to listen to the clip again before answering questions. She shook her head. "I've heard it enough. It lives in my head now." The first question was cautious. "How did you feel when you heard the recording?" Yandy paused. "You ever been hit without being touched?" "That's what it felt like." She looked down at her hands. It wasn't even what he said. It was how he said it. Like I was an obstacle. Like keeping me in the dark was strategy, not guilt. The second question hit deeper. "Do you think he's been hiding more?" Her eyes met the producer's. "I don't think." "I know." And just like that, the room shifted. Behind the scenes, another twist was brewing. Juju had spoken to someone. An old stylist from 2 seasons back. That stylist had received a different recording, not the same one that went viral. This one was longer, clearer, and included a name. A name no one expected. I mean, Tasha knew what it was. Mendeecees had said in the second recording, "She knew I was going back to Yandy, but she ain't care. It was just what it was." The moment the name dropped, panic hit production. Tasha was a friend, not close to Yandy anymore, but close enough that the betrayal stung. She had been around during the rebuild, the therapy, the healing phase, and now she was tied to the wreckage. Juju debated whether to tell Yandy. She didn't need to. Someone leaked the second clip, and within minutes, you're Tasha. Exposed was trending. Fans went wild. Not just because of the name drop, but because of what it implied. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a pattern. And worse, it involved someone from the inner circle. Yandy hadn't spoken to Tasha in months. A fallout had happened. Quiet, but deep. Now the silence made sense. Back on set, Yandy received the clip mid-interview. Her face didn't change, but her hands clenched. "Can we stop?" she asked. The director nodded. This time, she didn't walk away. She stood up, took a breath, not in person, not in a post, but in a message sent directly to production. It read, "I want to talk. Let's set it up." No apology, no explanation, just an ask to be heard. The producers agreed, under pressure. Ratings were climbing. The story was red hot. And the public wanted answers. They arranged a controlled environment. Same rules as Yandy's sit-down. No interruptions. No edits without approval. He walked in 2 hours later. Sweatshirt, sunglasses, phone in hand. He sat down and sighed. Y'all heard what I said. I'm not proud of it. But it's real. He leaned forward. Me and Yandy went through a lot. More than people know. There were gaps, trust gaps, time gaps, emotional gaps. And yeah, during that space, I talked to someone else. More than one if we keepin' it 100? The producer asked. Do you regret it? He paused. I regret hurting her. I regret not being man enough to say it sooner. What about Tasha? He exhaled. We had history, and I thought it wouldn't come back to bite me. But I was wrong. The final question was simple. What do you want now? He looked down. A chance to make it right. But by then, it might have been too late, because Yandy had already made her choice. The moment Mendeecees left his interview chair, something changed in the energy around set. It wasn't closure. It wasn't resolution. It was weight. Heavy, unresolved weight. The kind that comes when someone finally admits what you already knew, but says it just enough to protect their own guilt. He called it gaps. Yandy called it betrayal. And now, the rest of the world was caught in the middle. Within an hour of his taped confession, the video leaked. Not from official channels, not from production. Someone, maybe a crew member, maybe a castmate, had sent the footage to a blog known for breaking stories before they were ready. And once it hit the internet, it took less than 10 minutes for the views to explode. The clip spread like wildfire, especially the part where Mendeecees admitted to more than one. Those 3 words set off a digital avalanche. Fans were livid. Some blamed Mendeecees. Some blamed the show. Others started going after Tasha directly, flooding her Instagram with snake emojis, breakup memes, and accusations she never responded to. She disabled comments by noon. But the spotlight wasn't on Tasha anymore. It shifted back to Yandy, who, according to rumors, had just made a private phone call to a lawyer. Not for divorce, but for separation of assets. That small detail sent fans into a frenzy. Headlines speculated on prenups, custody agreements, and whether this meant the end for good. Meanwhile, Yandy remained silent. Then came the surprise. Producers called a full cast meeting. Not for filming, for damage control. They wanted to stabilize the show's direction before it spiraled. Juju, Erica, Kimbella, Safari, even Mama Jones were invited. Everyone showed up. Except Yandy. Her absence spoke louder than anything she could have said. Juju broke the silence first. So what? We just gonna pretend this didn't happen? Erica rolled her eyes. Girl, this is love and hip-hop. Everything happens, Juju snapped back. This ain't a storyline. This is her life. Safari leaned in. We all signed up for exposure. That don't mean we asked to bleed on camera, Kimbella added. But we all watched her bleed, and not one of us stepped in. The room went quiet again, until the door opened, and Yandy walked in. Black hoodie. No makeup. Confidence in every step. You wanted me here? She said. I'm here. Juju stood up. You sure? No, Yandy said. But I'm ready. She sat down at the head of the table. All eyes on her. I've been quiet. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I didn't know how to say it without breaking. She looked at the cast. But I ain't breaking today. I'm building. Erica tried to cut in. Yandy, look. No, Yandy interrupted. You don't get to talk first. Not today. Erica nodded. For once, she stayed quiet. I was humiliated publicly. I was lied to privately, and I carried it alone. But I ain't alone no more. Because now the truth is out. And I don't owe nobody silence anymore. The room stayed silent as she stood up again. Some of y'all watched him lie. Some of y'all protected it. And some of y'all didn't. Care until it went viral. I see all of it now, and I'm moving accordingly. She turned to leave. I'm filming my own confession tomorrow. Not for y'all, for me. She walked out without another word. Juju followed. The next day, Yandy filmed her own unscripted, unfiltered reaction. No glam team, no producers whispering. In her ear, just her in front of a camera. I loved him, she said. I really, really did. And maybe part of me still does. But love without honesty is just pain in disguise. She went quiet for a moment. I stayed because I believed in us. But now I believe in me more. She wiped one tear, then smiled. I'll be fine. I've been through worse. And guess what? I got up every time. The clip went live an hour. Later, within 5 minutes, fans flooded her page with support. Celebrities reposted her words. Women quoted her strength. And one major magazine reached out for a cover feature. As for Mendeecees, he posted a single message on his story. I see now, and I'm sorry. But by then, it was too late, because Yandy wasn't looking for an apology anymore. She was looking forward. The next 48 hours unfolded like a slow-burning explosion. Everything looked calm on the surface, but underneath the timeline, fanbase, and production set, everything was cracking. And it cracked even wider when TMZ picked up the story. Headlines read, "Mendeecees caught in hidden recording scandal, Yandy breaks silence." Suddenly, it wasn't just reality TV fans watching. Now the mainstream media was tuned in, dissecting the fall of a relationship built in front of the world. Producers panicked. They hadn't planned for this kind of heat mid-season. They began scrambling, cutting episodes, rewriting arcs, and trying to convince Yandy to do a follow-up sit-down. They needed one thing from her: closure. But Yandy wasn't giving anyone closure. Not yet. Not on their terms. She had other plans. She posted a video. Not flashy, not rehearsed. Just her sitting on a couch in her living room. It was shot vertically, a raw, grainy clip. In it, she held her phone, played the original voice message, paused it halfway, and said, "This is the voice of a man who told me every day he loved me. Listen to how casually he lies." She let the silence sit for a few seconds. Then she added, "To every woman watching this who thinks she's crazy for having that gut feeling, you're not. Trust it." She ended it with no tears. No drama, just truth. And in less than an hour, the video crossed 5 million views. Across town, Mendeecees sat alone in his condo, watching the fallout. His manager begged him to get ahead of it, to speak directly to the fans, to try and salvage the narrative. But he wasn't ready, or maybe he didn't know how. For the first time, the man who always had a response was speechless. What no one expected was what happened next. A cast dinner was scheduled months ago, meant to be light, off camera, just bonding. But now, it turned into a powder keg. Some cast members considered backing out. Others saw it as the moment to choose sides. Juju, always loyal to Yandy, showed up early, sat in the corner, and waited. Erica arrived late, wearing a tight dress and a smirk, clearly ready to stir things. Kimbella came solo and silent. Safari showed up but stayed quiet. Then came Yandy, all black. Braided hair, small gold hoops, powerful energy. She walked in like she owned the room. The conversations died instantly. She sat down. No words. Until Erica cleared her throat. "So this what we doing now? Act like we don't all have history." Yandy raised an eyebrow. "We have history. I just finally stopped rewriting it to make other people feel better." Erica leaned back. "Cute. I just think it's funny how this became a crusade all of a sudden." Juju cut in. "Nah. It became a reality check. One we all needed." "Don't speak for me," Erica snapped. "Then speak for yourself," Yandy said calmly. "Because all I see is you trying to be louder than your own guilt." The room tensed. Kimbella whispered, "Yo, chill." But it was too late. It was too late. The lines had been drawn. What no one expected, again, was Mendeecees walking in. He didn't say anything at first, just stood at the doorway, scanning the room. Then his eyes landed on Yandy. "Can we talk?" he asked. "You had months to talk," she replied. "This ain't about the cameras. It never was for me." He stepped forward. "I'm not gonna defend what I said. I ain't proud of it, but it came from a place where I was broken too." "No," Yandy said sharply. "It came from a place where you were comfortable lying." He stopped. "I came here to ask for a real conversation, not a public one." She stood up. "Then don't show up in public." She walked past him. No glance back. He stood there for a second, stunned. "Yandy, please." She paused, turned slightly. "You had your shot. You gave it away with every secret you kept. Now I'm giving myself a shot." She walked out. Juju followed. And just like That Mendeecees was left standing in the middle of a room full of people who once cheered him on, and now didn't know where to look. By the next day, the entire cast had taken sides. Juju and Kimbella stood firmly with Yandy. Erica and Safari played neutral, though most suspected where their loyalty lay. And Mendeecees? He issued a final post, black background, white letters. I made mistakes. I lost more than I ever thought I would. But I'm still here, owning it. But the comments weren't forgiving, and the likes weren't coming in like before, because people don't clap for silence after the damage is done. They clap for healing. And Yandy? She was finally healing, loudly. 3 weeks later, the dust hadn't settled. It had reshaped the whole landscape. Production halted filming for 2 days to rework the story arc. Brand partnerships were put on hold. Internal memos were leaked. One producer was reportedly fired for letting the second audio clip slip. And still, the fans weren't done. They didn't want to spin. They wanted the truth. And Yandy gave it to them. She released a mini documentary. Her voice, her words, her edit. 30 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage, quiet confessions, and raw monologues that revealed what the show never could. It opened with her wiping her face in the mirror, whispering, "This ain't about revenge, it's about release." She sat down on a couch in the same room where she used to shoot family scenes with Mendeecees and looked directly into the lens. I've protected people who wouldn't even shield me from a rumor. I've carried stories that didn't belong to me. And I've smiled through moments I should have screamed in. But not anymore. She laid it all bare. Every ignored. Intuition. Every night she doubted herself. Every time she made excuses for behavior that cut deep but hid behind soft words. And then she said the thing that shook everyone. I'm still standing. Not as someone's partner, not as a reality star, but as a woman who chose herself when it would have been easier to stay quiet. Within 24 hours, the video hit 10 million views, celebrities reposted it, news anchors quoted her words on air, and Yandy's name trended with one hashtag, Damwit Kuzma crosstown. Mendeecees watched silently. He didn't repost, didn't comment, didn't go live. This time he stayed quiet for real, because even he knew this wasn't a moment for rebuttal. It was a reckoning, and he was on the wrong side of it, but the story wasn't done yet. A reunion episode was scheduled. No scripts, just open chairs, cameras, and emotion. It wasn't supposed to happen this early in the season, but fans demanded it. Producers gave in. The cast was briefed. Be honest, be respectful, and be ready. The reunion set was quiet when Yandy arrived. She wore all white, simple dress, hair pinned back. Calm on the outside, but fire in her eyes. Mendeecees arrived 30 minutes later, dressed in black. They didn't speak backstage. They didn't make eye contact. When the cameras rolled, the host didn't waste time. Yandy, what do you want to say now that everything's out? She looked straight ahead, not at Mendeecees. I want peace. But I also want people to know that peace doesn't mean silence. I found strength in my voice, not in keeping things private for someone who made me suffer in public. The host turned to Mendeecees. Do you regret what happened? He nodded. Every part of it, the host pushed further. If you could speak to the version of Yandy from 3 months ago, what would you say? He looked at her now, not with arrogance, not with tears, with regret. I'd say thank you for loving me past my pain, and I'd say sorry for not loving you past yours. A long pause. Then Yandy spoke. I believe you mean that. I just don't need it anymore. The room went silent. A producer off-camera whispered, "We got it." And they did. That moment became the season closer. No fights, no walk-offs, just truth. Real, raw, human. And then, a twist. After the reunion aired, Yandy posted a final video, 3 minutes long. No music, no edits. Just her standing in a studio holding a mic. This isn't the end, she said. This is the rebirth. Then she introduced her new project, a foundation for women rebuilding after public betrayals. Real-life help, real-life healing, real. Impact. Fans erupted with support. And suddenly, the narrative that started with a hidden voice memo ended with a movement. Yandy wasn't just a cast member anymore. She was a voice, a force, a blueprint. And for once, reality TV didn't just document pain, it broadcasted power. This wasn't just another celebrity fallout. This wasn't a staged argument, a clipped soundbite, or a plot twist written in a production room. This was raw. This was real. And this was a woman reclaiming her voice on her own terms. Yandy didn't just respond. She redefined what it means to break publicly and still rise with dignity. She didn't beg for sympathy. She didn't trade truth for television. She gave the world something far more powerful than a scandal. She gave them honesty, even when it hurt. And Mendeecees? Whether his apology came from guilt or growth, it didn't change the facts. The damage was done. And while redemption might be a long road, the first step is accountability, a step he finally took, even if it came too late. So now the question is yours. What would you do in Yandy's place? Do you think her silence all those years protected Mendeecees? Or did it just cost her peace? Can trust ever be rebuilt when the truth is hidden in whispers instead of spoken out loud? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What moment hit you the hardest? What part of her story did you see yourself in? Make sure to hit that like button if you felt her strength. Subscribe if you believe in telling the whole story, not just the pretty version. And tap the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Because in a world of drama, this channel is where reality gets real. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away without looking back.